Tonight, I need you to shift your posture in the spirit because we are not here by accident. You didn't stumble into this moment, you were summoned. There is an atmosphere of favor being released right now, and favor is not fair, it is intentional. When God decides to favor you, doors open that no human hand can shut, and systems begin to respond to your obedience. I came to announce that this is not a season of survival for you. This is a season of supernatural advantage. Some of you have been faithful in obscurity, consistent without applause, sowing when it looked like nothing was happening. But hear me clearly, heaven has been keeping records. The delays were not denials, they were divine alignments. God was positioning opportunities to collide with your preparedness. Tonight we are activating favor that causes your name to be mentioned in rooms you've never heard of, and opportunities to locate you without you chasing them. I decree that stagnation is broken. Cycles of almost, nearly, and not yet are coming to an end. You are stepping into increase. That doesn't make sense on paper, but makes perfect sense in the spirit. Contracts, ideas, promotions, divine connections, things you didn't even know how to pray for, are being released because favor goes ahead of you and makes crooked paths straight. This is the hour where God accelerates what would have taken years and does it in moments. When favor rests on you, rejection loses its voice, lack loses its grip, and fear loses its authority. Tonight, we are commanding supernatural increase to locate your finances, your purpose, your influence, and your peace. Get ready, because when God favors you, resistance gives way to results. When God favors you, resistance gives way to results. If you're ready to step into this dimension of favor and supernatural increase, I want you to engage right now. Like the video, subscribe to the channel for daily prayer, and write Amen in the comments as a prophetic agreement. Also comment one thing you're believing God for today, because what you speak becomes activated in the spirit. Favor that opens doors no one can close is not just a concept. It is a divine reality. It is the supernatural hand of God moving on your behalf before you even know that you need it. Favor is not earned by human effort alone, though obedience amplifies it. Favor is a gift from heaven that positions you strategically in the paths of blessing, provision, and promotion. Many people think they must fight for every opportunity, that success is a result of relentless pursuit, but I am here to declare to you that God's favor works differently. Favor does not compete, it clears the way. Favor does not struggle, it shifts circumstances. Favor does not negotiate, it commands outcomes. Tonight, I want to immerse you in the truth that favor is available to you, and it is meant to open doors no one can close. Imagine with me for a moment the weight of favor. It is not mere luck or chance. It is a spiritual force that changes how people perceive you, how systems respond to you, and how opportunities align with your life. When favor rests on you, it transcends the ordinary. A simple introduction can become a turning point. A casual conversation can produce a breakthrough. A routine task can open a chain of events that leads to unexpected blessing. The Bible tells us that Joseph found favor in the eyes of Potiphar, the prison keeper, and even Pharaoh himself, not because Joseph manipulated circumstances, but because God's favor was upon him. This same principle operates in your life today. Favor is a divine magnet, attracting the right people, ideas, and opportunities that no human planning could engineer. Favor is relational. It changes how people respond to you. There are doors that would normally be closed, doors of influence, doors of provision, doors of opportunity that suddenly swing wide when favor is present. People see you differently. Your reputation is elevated. Your diligence is amplified. You may have been overlooked, underestimated, or even dismissed in the past. But favor rewrites perception. It doesn't matter who you were yesterday, who doubts you, or what circumstances have tried to define your life. The favor of God establishes your credibility, accelerates your progress, and creates influence that cannot be bought, borrowed, or fabricated. Favor does not discriminate. It rests on the obedient, the faithful, and those who seek God's heart with a pure intention. One of the most powerful aspects of favor is that it is not dependent on timing according to human schedules. You may feel like you are waiting, like the breakthrough is delayed, but favor is always on divine time. Sometimes the waiting period is the preparation stage. Sometimes it is the alignment phase. Every delay is not a denial. Every setback is not a rejection. Favor moves according to God's perfect timing. When you finally step into the moment of favor, you will recognize it because doors will begin to open without struggle. Barriers will fall without force and resistance will dissipate without explanation. The right people, the right situations, and the right opportunities will converge around you, and it will feel effortless because favor makes way where there seemed to be no way. Favor is not passive. It requires your alignment with God's principles. Favor responds to faith, obedience, integrity, and a heart that seeks to honor God. You cannot expect divine advantage while living in compromise. Favor cannot cohabit with fear, dishonesty, or selfish ambition. Joseph's life is again a perfect example. He remained faithful in Potiphar's house, refused the seduction of sin, and honored God even when circumstances were difficult. It was this faithfulness that made him the recipient of supernatural favor, which then positioned him to lead a nation. Your faithfulness in the small unseen places is laying the groundwork for favor that will open doors you cannot yet imagine. Favor brings acceleration. Things that would normally take years to accomplish can be completed in months, weeks, or even days under the influence of divine favor. Opportunities arrive with urgency and alignment that defy human logic. People who would normally require persuasion become willing partners. Resources appear where scarcity seemed inevitable. Solutions emerge that outpace human ingenuity. Favor moves ahead of you to prepare the ground, making impossible things possible. It is why the Apostle Paul could write to the Corinthians that God's grace had abounded toward them. And it is why today you can receive a measure of favor that causes doors to open in your career, your ministry, your finances, and your relationships. Favor is supernatural protection as well. While it opens doors, it also closes doors that are not meant for you. It prevents you from stepping into traps, walking into unprepared situations, or engaging with those who would derail your destiny. There is a discernment that comes with favor that shields you from missteps. God's favor is not only about advancement, it is about alignment. It guides you to the right paths and deters you from the wrong ones. When you understand this principle, you can walk confidently, knowing that the doors opening before you are not accidents. They are divinely orchestrated opportunities that align with your purpose. Favor also releases influence. When favor rests upon you, people are inclined to support you, help you, and align with your vision. Authority figures notice you, peers respect you, and even strangers may become instruments of your breakthrough. Favor creates platforms that were previously inaccessible. It causes your ideas, your talents, and your gifts to be recognized and appreciated in ways that go beyond human effort. This is why favor is so powerful. It does not merely provide opportunities, it multiplies them and elevates your sphere of impact. Faith activates favor. It is one thing to know that favor exists. It is another to step into it with confidence. Favor responds to belief. When you declare God's favor is upon me, you are not just speaking optimism, you are speaking spiritual truth. Favor is a dimension of God's presence that moves in response to faith-filled declarations, obedience, and expectancy. The moment you begin to operate with the understanding that favor is your portion, your posture changes, your courage rises, and your actions align with God's supernatural movement. Favor is not passive. It requires you to walk through the doors God opens, to accept the appointments he provides, and to steward the opportunities with integrity and excellence. It is important to understand that favor is not always loud or flashy. Sometimes it operates quietly behind the scenes, shifting circumstances in subtle yet powerful ways. A recommendation, a timely introduction, a sudden inspiration, a favorably received proposal. These are all manifestations of favor at work. It may not always be dramatic, but it is always effective. Favor is strategic, it is intentional, it is designed to maximize your impact and advance your destiny. The unseen hand of God is at work orchestrating your path, and when the time is right, the manifestation will be undeniable. Many of us have faced seasons of rejection, of being passed over, or of seeing others advanced while we waited. Favor shifts that narrative. Favor causes what should have been lost to be recovered, what should have been blocked to be released, and what should have been delayed to be accelerated. It is why the psalmist could declare that the Lord's favor surrounds those who fear him like a shield. Favor is your protection, your advancement, your alignment, and your multiplication. It surrounds you and moves with you, opening doors, breaking chains, and creating pathways where there were none. Favor also invites supernatural relationships. It draws mentors, allies, and collaborators who will accelerate your vision. It attracts people who recognize your potential before you even see it in yourself. Doors open because favor positions you where you need to be. And while you may have once prayed for connections, favor now causes those connections to seek you. Opportunities arrive not by chance, but by divine orchestration. A simple encounter can change the trajectory of your career, ministry, or personal life. Favor ensures that when doors open, you are not only prepared, but positioned to step into them fully. The beauty of favor is that it is not limited to a season or a circumstance. It can manifest repeatedly throughout your life, as long as you maintain your alignment with God. Each time you operate in integrity, faith, and obedience, you invite favor to manifest in new areas. Favor is cumulative. Your past faithfulness multiplies current opportunities. Your present obedience amplifies future blessing. And your expectancy positions you to receive more than you can imagine. Favor is an ever-flowing river that can transport you from ordinary to extraordinary, from overlooked to recognized, and from stagnant to accelerated. Favor does not rely on human merit. It is not about being the most qualified, the most talented, or the most connected. Favor is about God's divine preference for your life. It is about his choice to lift you, to position you, and to open doors that no one can close. You may look around and feel unqualified, unprepared, or unworthy, but God's favor is not conditional on human perception. It operates in realms beyond understanding. What seems impossible by human standards is achievable by divine favor. This is why you must step boldly, believing that God has already gone before you, that he has already paved the way, and that doors are ready to open because of his supernatural intervention. Prayer and declaration are essential to activating favor. Speak life over your situations. Speak favor over your finances, your relationships, your ministry, and your career. Declare that you are positioned in God's timing, that doors are opening for you, and that opportunities are aligning perfectly. Favor responds to alignment and expectancy. It is not passive. It requires intentional declaration, faith-filled expectation, and a willingness to move when doors open. This is how ordinary people experience extraordinary outcomes. Remember, favor also creates ease. It makes what was hard seem simple. Challenges that once felt insurmountable are now navigable. Obstacles dissolve, resistance diminishes, and pathways are made straight. Favor is the divine lubricant in the machinery of your life. It smooths the friction, removes obstacles, and creates flow. You will notice the difference not only in results, but in the process itself. What once took struggle now seems effortless because favor does not labor, it liberates. Favor is your spiritual insurance. It is God's mechanism for ensuring that your purpose is realized, that your vision is fulfilled, and that your destiny is aligned with His plans. When favor rests upon you, rejection loses its sting, opposition loses its authority, and delay loses its voice. Favor protects, propels, and positions simultaneously. It is your ally, your advocate, and your supernatural advantage. Understanding this, you can approach every opportunity with confidence, knowing that the doors opening before you are orchestrated by heaven itself, designed for your success, and aligned with your purpose. The time to embrace favor is now. Stop waiting for human permission. Stop wondering if doors will open. Stop questioning whether you are ready. God's favor is your portion. It is meant to open doors no one can close. Stand in expectancy. Position yourself in obedience. Speak life over your circumstances. Declare favor over your work, your ministry, and your relationships. Receive with gratitude and step boldly into the opportunities that God has prepared for you. Favor is here. Favor is real. Favor is for you. Divine opportunities locating you effortlessly is a supernatural principle that transforms the ordinary into the extraordinary. It is the intersection of preparation, alignment, and God's divine orchestration. Too often we believe that opportunities must be hunted, chased, or negotiated. We think that doors will open only through human persistence, clever strategy, or relentless effort. But the truth is that when God's favor is upon your life, opportunities do not need to be chased. They find you. Divine opportunities locate you effortlessly because they are guided by an invisible hand, a force that is far greater than human understanding. When you are aligned with God's purpose, positioned in obedience and walking in faith, the universe begins to conspire on your behalf. Opportunities appear in ways that seem coincidental, but in reality, they are divinely orchestrated. The first step in experiencing this principle is understanding that your alignment with God is the magnet for these opportunities. You cannot expect heaven to open doors if your life is out of sync with His word. Every act of integrity, every decision to honor God, every moment of faithfulness, even when unseen or unrewarded, lays the groundwork for opportunities to locate you. Joseph spent years in Potiphar's house and then in prison, faithful and obedient, even when circumstances seemed hopeless. Yet it was in those places of apparent stagnation that divine opportunities were positioning him for his ultimate destiny. The same is true for you. When you remain faithful, even in small and unseen ways, opportunities begin to find you because your life vibrates in harmony with God's plans. Divine opportunities often arrive in unexpected ways. They may come through a person you meet casually, a conversation you never thought significant, or a situation that initially seemed challenging. These are the subtle ways God aligns circumstances for your benefit. You may be unaware of the significance in the moment, but later you will recognize that these seemingly ordinary events were actually divine appointments. The beauty of these opportunities is that they bypass the struggle of human pursuit. You do not have to manipulate, force, or pressure the situation. God's hand moves silently but powerfully, placing opportunities directly in your path because you have positioned yourself in obedience and faith. One of the most profound aspects of divine opportunities locating you is that they often arrive ahead of your need. God's provision is always timely. While human timing is reactive, divine timing is proactive. There are seasons where it seems that nothing is happening, yet God is preparing the landscape so that the right doors will open at the perfect moment. When divine opportunities locate you effortlessly, it is a sign that you are walking in God's timing, not in your own. This principle requires patience, trust, and the understanding that delays are not denials. Each pause, each waiting period is a preparation phase where God is aligning people, circumstances, and resources that will converge seamlessly in your favor. Faith is the vehicle through which opportunities locate you. Without faith, you may see the opportunities passing by without recognition. Faith sharpens your spiritual vision, making you aware of the doors that God is opening before your natural eyes perceive them. When you operate in faith, you begin to recognize divine invitations in everyday life. An unexpected phone call, a sudden inspiration, a chance meeting that changes the trajectory of your journey. Faith transforms ordinary circumstances into platforms for supernatural advantage. It positions you to receive what God is sending and allows you to walk boldly into the opportunities designed specifically for you. Another key element is the removal of unnecessary struggle. Divine opportunities locating you effortlessly often bypass obstacles that would normally hinder progress. They circumvent resistance, misunderstandings, and delays that human effort alone cannot overcome. It is not about being passive. It is about being positioned in such a way that the effort required aligns with God's design rather than human exhaustion. When you understand this principle, you will begin to recognize that your pursuit does not need to be frantic or forceful. Instead, your responsibility is to prepare, to align, and to remain sensitive to God's guidance. When you do this, opportunities come to you, fully formed and ready to be embraced. Opportunities that are divinely orchestrated often carry multiplication. They do not just meet immediate needs, they create ripple effects of blessing. A single divine opportunity can transform multiple areas of your life simultaneously. It may bring financial provision, strategic relationships, personal growth, and spiritual expansion all at once. This is why it is so critical to discern the opportunities that God brings your way. Not every chance that appears is aligned with your destiny, but when God orchestrates the opportunity, it is perfectly timed and designed for maximum impact. Divine opportunities are rarely singular. They are abundant, interconnected, and strategically designed to advance your life in multiple dimensions. Preparation is essential to receive these opportunities. You cannot expect opportunities to locate you effortlessly if you are unprepared. God always meets preparation with opportunity. Your skills, your character, your heart, and your readiness are all factors in how God positions you. Joseph's preparation in Potiphar's house and in prison honed his leadership skills, strengthened his integrity, and developed the wisdom required to govern Egypt. Without preparation, opportunities may arrive, but you will not recognize them or be equipped to take advantage of them. Therefore, diligence, discipline, and daily obedience are vital. As you invest in yourself spiritually, emotionally, and mentally, you position yourself to receive opportunities that exceed human expectation. Divine opportunities often intersect with your network, creating connections that accelerate your progress. These are people who are instruments of favor, guides, mentors, or collaborators. They may recognize your potential before you see it in yourself. Opportunities are often relational, meaning that the people God brings into your life at the right time are part of the equation. Favor and preparation draw the right individuals to you, and these individuals help unlock doors that were previously inaccessible. Divine connections are not accidental. They are strategically placed by God to guide, support, and amplify the opportunities He brings. Expectancy is another key to experiencing divine opportunities effortlessly. When you anticipate God's movement, you are sensitive to His timing and direction. Expectancy tunes your spirit to recognize divine openings. It creates a mindset that is alert, aware, and ready to respond. When you operate in expectancy, you no longer miss the opportunities that God sends because your eyes are open to the subtle ways He orchestrates breakthroughs. Your readiness amplifies the manifestation of opportunities, making it easy for them to locate you and for you to step confidently into them. The absence of fear is crucial in allowing divine opportunities to find you. Fear creates hesitation, doubt, and missed chances. When God positions an opportunity, He equips you to step into it boldly. Fear is the enemy of flow. it blocks the effortless movement of divine favor. Let go of fear. Trust in God's timing and move confidently. When you respond without fear, opportunities locate you with clarity and precision. You do not have to chase, manipulate, or convince. The moment is prepared for your entrance, and your obedience activates the blessing contained within it. Divine opportunities also bring increase and expansion. They often exceed what you thought possible, introducing you to new levels of influence, responsibility, and provision. An opportunity that God positions for you is not only sufficient, it is abundant. It aligns with your purpose and has the capacity to expand your impact. It may challenge you, stretch you, and push you beyond comfort zones, but it is designed to bring multiplication. Every divine opportunity contains within it the seed of greater favor, growth, and breakthrough. Recognize this and step into the opportunities with gratitude and confidence. There is a sense of peace that accompanies divine opportunities. Unlike human-driven pursuits that create anxiety, stress, and tension, opportunities that locate you effortlessly carry a sense of calm and confirmation. You feel aligned, supported, and guided. There is a knowing that this is from God, a quiet assurance that you are exactly where you need to be. This peace is a confirmation that the doors opening before you are not human coincidences, but divine orchestration. Trust in this peace and allow it to guide your actions. Divine opportunities are also often accompanied by favor. When God positions an opportunity, he simultaneously moves in hearts, systems, and circumstances to make the pathway clear. Favor works invisibly to smooth obstacles, attract support, and accelerate results. People respond positively, situations resolve quickly, and resources appear as if by miracle. When opportunity and favor converge, human limitations are no longer barriers, and what once seemed impossible becomes effortless. This combination allows you to walk into destiny with confidence and without struggle. Awareness is critical. You must recognize the moments when God is opening doors. Opportunities may be subtle, and without discernment, they can pass unnoticed. Pray for spiritual sensitivity, seek wisdom, and remain alert. God often presents opportunities disguised as ordinary circumstances, but with discernment, you can identify the divine path. Listening to God's guidance and being attuned to his direction ensures that you do not miss the openings he is providing. Divine opportunities do not always announce themselves loudly. Sometimes they are quiet, requiring spiritual perception to recognize and embrace them fully. Consistency in character attracts divine opportunities. God does not open doors to compromise. Integrity, humility, generosity, and faithfulness position you to receive opportunities that align with his will. Opportunities will flow toward those who have proven themselves trustworthy and diligent in the small things. As you maintain consistent alignment with God's principles, opportunities find you effortlessly because heaven recognizes a vessel ready to steward the blessing wisely. Character acts as the magnetic field, drawing divine opportunities directly into your sphere of influence. Finally, gratitude amplifies divine opportunities. When you receive a door that opens effortlessly, acknowledging God's hand in it releases more favor and more opportunity. Gratitude creates a flow that invites continued blessing. Every opportunity is not only a provision, but a confirmation of God's faithfulness. When you respond with thankfulness, it positions you for an ongoing encounter with divine opportunity. Gratitude recognizes the divine orchestration, celebrates it, and aligns your heart with continued abundance. For natural increase beyond human calculation is a principle of God's kingdom that defies logic, expectation, and natural understanding. It is an overflow that cannot be predicted, quantified, or contained by human methods. Many people limit their expectations to what they can see, measure, or calculate. But God's increase does not conform to human rules. When God steps into a situation, what seems impossible becomes inevitable. What appears insufficient becomes overflowing, and what is ordinary becomes extraordinary. Tonight, I want to speak to you about the kind of increase that surpasses all understanding, the kind that multiplies your time, your resources, your influence, and your opportunities beyond anything you could imagine. This increase is not tied to your effort alone. It is tied to God's favor, alignment, and timing. Let us reflect for a moment. How many of us have tried to work harder, push longer, and plan meticulously, only to see limited results? It can feel frustrating when your efforts yield only small returns. But I am here to tell you that supernatural increase is not measured by the limits of human effort. It is measured by the power and promise of God's hand operating on your behalf. Abraham knew this principle. He gave tithes, trusted God's promises, and yet the abundance that came to him far exceeded what he could have calculated or imagined. Supernatural increase always surprises, it always overflows, and it always exceeds expectation. The first key to experiencing supernatural increase is believing that God's provision is unlimited. It is not restricted by scarcity, circumstance, or the opinions of men. When you operate in faith, trusting that God's resources are abundant, you position yourself to receive beyond natural expectation. Increase is often blocked when we doubt, when we limit God to what seems reasonable, or when we settle for less than his best. I want to ask you right now, what areas of your life have you been limiting God because you cannot see how it could happen? I want you to comment below honestly. When you bring that before God, you invite him to intervene supernaturally and multiply in ways that defy logic. Supernatural increase often begins in obedience. The moment you honor God with the resources, talents, and opportunities you already have, you release the seeds for multiplication. Joseph experienced this in Egypt. He faithfully managed resources during years of famine preparation, and because of his diligence, not only was he blessed personally, but he became a channel of blessing to an entire nation. Obedience activates supernatural increase. It positions you to receive more than you could imagine and to steward it with wisdom. Increase is never just about accumulation. It is about alignment with God's purposes. Another aspect of supernatural increase is that it is often exponential. What starts small is designed to grow beyond your calculation. A single act of faith can create a chain reaction that multiplies in ways that seem impossible. You may plant a small seed in prayer, in generosity, or in consistent effort, and God multiplies it in ways that you cannot predict. It is the law of the supernatural. God takes the ordinary and multiplies it beyond measurement. Have you ever experienced something small grown beyond expectation? I want you to share that in the comments, because when you acknowledge God's multiplication in your past, you invite it into your future. Supernatural increase also challenges human understanding of time. Many of us believe that growth, expansion, or provision must follow a natural timeline. But God operates outside of time. He can compress years into months, delays into breakthroughs, and scarcity into abundance in an instant. This is why it is so important to walk in patience and faith while expecting increase. Do not be discouraged by delay, for supernatural increase often arrives exactly when divine timing aligns with your readiness. It is in those moments of preparation and waiting that God sets the stage for overflow. Increase is also relational. When God blesses you supernaturally, it often creates opportunities to bless others. Favor and increase go hand in hand. When you are positioned for multiplication, you are also positioned to impact those around you. Supernatural increase is not self-contained. It radiates. It is designed to lift families, communities, and even nations. As you prepare to receive God's increase, I want to ask you, who is someone you want to see blessed through what God is doing in your life? Comment their name below, and let's release prophetic agreement together for their increase as well. Faith activates supernatural increase. Without faith, the overflow will pass unnoticed or unclaimed. Faith is the key that unlocks the door to abundance. You must believe not only that God can increase, but that He is actively working to increase your life beyond natural comprehension. This faith releases expectation, patience, and hope, which are essential to receiving multiplication. The natural mind may question, how will this happen? But faith does not rely on human calculation. It relies on God's promise. Do you believe that God can multiply your provision beyond what you can see? Comment, I believe if your heart is ready to receive this increase. Supernatural increase is also strategic. It is not random, chaotic, or accidental. Every increase is aligned with God's purpose for your life. Just as Joseph's management of Egypt's resources positioned him to save nations from famine, your increase is meant to place you in alignment with divine assignments. It prepares you for influence, impact, and authority that cannot be attained by effort alone. Every increase, every multiplication, and every blessing has a divine destination. Understanding this brings peace, confidence, and clarity in the midst of growth. Generosity is a catalyst for a supernatural increase. When you give, you release the spiritual principle of multiplication. God loves a cheerful giver, and He promises to return blessings in ways that far exceed what you can give. This is not simply about money. It is about time, attention, love, and service. When you invest generously in the lives of others, you create a platform for supernatural increase to flow into your life. The universe is wired to respond to seeds sown in faith. Every act of obedience, kindness, and generosity is a seed, and God multiplies seeds beyond human calculation. Supernatural increase is often accompanied by peace, unlike human-driven abundance, which can bring stress, anxiety, and overwhelm. The overflow from God carries calm, confidence, and clarity. You know in your spirit that the increase is from God, and you are guided in how to steward it. This peace is a confirmation that the multiplication is not random or accidental. It is divine. When you experience peace in the midst of expansion, you can operate with wisdom and discernment, ensuring that every blessing is managed according to God's plan. Peace also removes limitations. God's supernatural provision expands your capacity, multiplies your resources, and elevates your influence beyond natural constraints. What once seemed impossible, financial breakthroughs, career promotions, relational restoration, is now within reach. God is able to multiply your influence, your network, your finances, and your gifts in ways that surpass human imagination. This is why it is so critical to position yourself in faith, obedience, and expectation. Your willingness to receive, steward, and act opens the door for God's supernatural multiplication. Supernatural increase is often tied to vision. The Bible tells us that the Lord blesses the work of our hands. When you are pursuing the vision God has placed in your heart, increase flows naturally. It is designed to propel you toward your divine assignment. This is why clarity of purpose is so important. If you do not know where you are headed, multiplication may become scattered or misaligned. Align your vision with God's purpose, and the increase that comes will be focused, strategic, and impactful. I want to ask you, what is the vision in your heart that you are ready to see multiply? Comment it below, and let's declare alignment with God's plan over it. Supernatural increase also has a residual effect. It creates platforms for continued expansion. One breakthrough often leads to another, and one multiplication opens the door for further blessing. It is a continuous cycle of overflow designed to position you for long-term impact. This principle is why Scripture says that the Lord will open the windows of heaven to pour out blessings so great that you cannot contain them. It is a reminder that God's increase is not limited to a single moment. It is ongoing, cumulative, and expanding. Obedience and consistency remain critical. Increase is often delayed not because God is unwilling, but because his timing is perfect and he is aligning your heart, your preparation, and your opportunity. When you remain faithful in the small things, God multiplies your efforts in ways that exceed expectation. Your consistent faithfulness is the soil in which supernatural increase grows. It is not always immediate, but it is inevitable. Supernatural increase requires gratitude. When blessings arrive, acknowledging God's hand in the process multiplies the flow. Gratitude is a spiritual principle that keeps your heart aligned with heaven. It ensures that you remain humble, teachable, and ready to steward what has been given. When you express thankfulness, you are not just honoring God, you are creating a fertile ground for more blessings to arrive. Every supernatural increase is a testimony of God's faithfulness. It reminds you that he is able to do exceedingly abundantly and beyond what you can ask, think, or imagine. It is evidence that his kingdom operates on a different plane than human understanding. As you receive, walk in obedience and honor him with your multiplication, you become a vessel of blessing for others. The overflow of God in your life becomes a conduit of hope, provision, and encouragement for those around you. I want to ask you now, what is one area of your life where you are believing God for supernatural increase beyond human calculation? Comment it below, share it boldly, because speaking it releases faith into the atmosphere. Your declaration activates the spiritual laws of multiplication, positioning you to receive increase that is far greater than anything you could plan or anticipate. Increase is relational, generational, and purposeful. It is not just for your benefit. It carries the capacity to impact families, communities, and even nations. Supernatural increase is designed to create legacy. When you receive multiplication in your life, it allows you to give, empower, and support others. It creates a ripple effect that extends beyond your own sphere. This is why God's promise of abundance is always linked with purpose, alignment, and stewardship. Finally, supernatural increase requires readiness. You must be prepared to receive, manage, and act on what God releases. Increase that is uncontrolled, unmanaged, or unprepared for can lead to imbalance, distraction, or misuse. But when you position yourself with wisdom, faith, and expectation, God multiplies in ways that exceed calculation, defy limitation, and transform your life. Are you ready to receive supernatural increase beyond human calculation? Comment, yes, I am ready, and let's declare together that God's overflow is manifesting in your life right now. Acceleration of delayed promises is a divine principle that transforms waiting into breakthrough. Many of us have experienced seasons where it seemed like nothing was happening, where promises of God felt distant, and where the weight of delay threatened to discourage us. Yet the truth is that God's timing is perfect, and what may appear as delay is often divine preparation. The acceleration of delayed promises occurs when God intervenes to bring the fulfillment of his word into your life in a way that surpasses natural timing. It is the sudden release of what has been promised, the compression of time, and the manifestation of outcomes that have lingered in the spiritual realm waiting for the perfect moment to appear. Tonight, I want to declare over your life that delays are over, that waiting seasons are ending, and that God is accelerating your promises. First, it is important to understand why promises are delayed. Delays are not denials. They are often seasons of preparation, refinement, and alignment. God uses waiting periods to cultivate patience, strengthen faith, and develop character. Just as Joseph endured years in Potiphar's house and in prison, so too do we experience seasons where our promises seem distant. Yet every moment of waiting is purposeful. It positions you to receive what is coming with wisdom, humility, and readiness. Delays test your trust in God, but they also ensure that when the promise is fulfilled, you are fully equipped to steward it. Acceleration begins in the spiritual realm before it manifests in the natural. God moves invisibly on your behalf, shifting circumstances, aligning people, and preparing environments for the fulfillment of his word. While human eyes may not see the progress, spiritual forces are at work. Favor